Hey guys, welcome to Outdoorphoto. Thank you very much for joining us for this podcast. In studio with me, I've got Canton Parker. Thank you for taking the drive, getting the passport stapled on this side of the Boerewors curtain.
Yeah, man.
So welcome. Thank you for joining us. I'm super excited about this chat. We've been having great conversations off camera, and I wanted to bring it on camera because there's so much happening in terms of marketing and your experience and everything. Please tell us a little bit more about yourself. Who are you? How did you arrive here?
I'm just glad to be here. That's who I am. No, thanks so much for having me, to yourself, Gunther, and to the entire Outdoorphoto team. I think what you guys have established and what you're building is not short of something epic. A lot of people are looking at you guys for not only what you do, but how you do things, and being such an industry standard, which I, for one, am super grateful for, that someone's paving the way in that. But who I am specifically, as you mentioned, my name is Canton Parker. I am a creative. I always say it this way. I'm a creative. It is all about creative storytelling and gaming, specifically gaming, because I think growing up, I just was locked and lost into gaming. Specifically, I think because it sounds weird. There's a riddle. I'm an only child, but I have 5 siblings, and everyone's like, how the hell does that make sense? So my mom and my dad, I'm an only child, but my dad's previous marriage, my mom's previous marriage is now 6 of us. But on my dad's side, my brothers were all gamers. They had the arcade machines. Can't really prove this, but my dad always tells me he was part of the executive team that brought Nintendo to South Africa.
Oh, wow.
So I grew up with that, the classic gray Game Boy, and I grew up, my dad was the managing director of Prima Toys and worked with Hasbro, so I always grew up with the toys and Action Man, and my mom, funny enough, was Barbie, so I always grew up in the whole pop culture, fantasy toys, gaming, all of that. So that was me growing up, Pokemon included. And growing up, I always thought, oh, this is fun. But now it's come to the point where I'm like, oh, this can actually be a thing that you can do. Yeah, growing up, being so consumed by gaming, movies. I mean, I'm a massive Lord of the Rings fan, and just being consumed by fantasy and storytelling and adventure. Gaming just has a particular way of immersing someone in that specific story, but in a way where they get to make the choices and experience it for themselves. But
it's pretty cool because you've come from that kind of gaming background. You grew up in it.
Yeah.
How was it changed with how technology and things changed towards streaming and online gaming and everything? How did you experience that?
So streaming is always, you're putting yourself out there to the world. People you know, people you don't know. So I think gaming has gone from this is fun, I'm enjoying this. This is just me, my 4 walls and no more. This is just what I'm experiencing, to, hey, come experience it with me. Watch me go through this level, this chapter, defeat this boss, figure out this puzzle, whatever it is or it isn't. And I think streaming maybe didn't particularly start with gaming. I think it was more like hey, I've got something to say. I don't feel like saying it 500 times, and I want you to watch me say it live. So I'm going to stream. And I think that over the years has branched out into so many different things. Now you've got platforms like Twitch, and I think there's a new one called Kick Streaming. And now you've got YouTube gaming that's, completely on the rise. And that's now people going, hey, I'm playing FIFA. Come, let me show you my strategy in FIFA. And then people go, man, I really want to learn how to do that in FIFA, or become a FIFA esports player. And I think that's where gaming has become so much wider. I mean, even just looking at esports tournaments is next level. Myself, more me than my wife, but I roped my wife into it, where I'm like, there's this new Red Bull Kumite event at Street Fighter 6. We have to watch it. Jubby from Goliath Gaming is playing. We have to just be glued. He has to win. We're rooting for him. Come on. So yeah, I think if it wasn't for streaming, and specifically gaming and streaming, there'd be a huge disconnect in, I think, a lot of inspiration for a lot of specifically youngsters, but a lot of people that maybe grew up like me playing games and never realized this could, one, be more than just a hobby. Maybe it can become a profession. Maybe it can become a quite a high-paying profession. So yeah, when it comes to gaming and streaming, I think we're in a beautiful direction as a society, as a culture. You could say that.
I think it's very fascinating. We recently met one another at the Rage Expo. And that was also how massive that's become, and how people camp out there and set up those big LANs, and you know, it's a whole lifestyle on its own. So it's fascinating.
Yeah.
And along with the technology, I mean, if we bring it back to some of the things that we deal with here in the shop, I mean, like the Rode X streamer that we discussed earlier. I mean, these things are all of a sudden becoming so much more powerful and easier to set up. So it's really becoming possible for anybody to walk into a shop, buy a couple of components, and have an incredibly good setup up and running.
Yeah, I think a lot of brands, and specifically the gaming, audio, photo, video industries, are tapping into a lot of the streaming avenues, because let's take the Rode Streamer X, for example. Before, if you wanted to stream your gaming content, let's say specifically you were a PC gamer, you needed obviously your PC tower, you've got your monitor, then, you know, is your PC strong enough to stream? Will it lag? How's your graphics? Do you have a video capture card? Then you need an audio interface, then you need a mic, then you need a camera. Then all this stuff needs to be put in. Halfway through, you're going to get to a point where, listen, this is way too expensive for me. And you laugh at it, it's like, I know exactly what you're talking about.
It is, I know exactly.
Where now the Streamer X, I mean, it's a video capture card and audio interface in one. It's the first of its kind. You get video capture cards, you get audio interfaces. For it to be one, and also you've got your MIDI pads, you can have like audio samples, or you've got people clapping, you have the womp, 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 like let's say whatever. And you're streaming, and all you got to do is connect your console, connect your monitor, cool. Something like OBS on your computer, hit record. Everything is being done in this little device that can just fit in the palm of your hand, and all you got to do is just play. And I think that's now far more accessible to people that maybe want to, but feel like maybe they never could because of, you know, XYZ, whether it be finances, whether it be all this gear. You know, I don't have the space. Like, I live in a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment. It's super tiny. I mean, I can be anywhere in the apartment and shout to my wife and she'll hear me. And just having something so simple that enables me to set up in a matter of seconds that I can just start streaming gaming, and not even gaming, like what we're doing now. I can connect it and then just start talking to someone. That is super, super powerful. And I think, again, makes it super accessible to anyone that wants to do it.
It's exciting, especially if you have a look across the board with what everything entails. Your audio, your video, your feed through. It does get very intricate, and that's what I love about your channel that you're doing in reviewing all these items, that it kind of puts the whole picture together. So you can be quite a massive setup like we've got up and running here, or the Streamer X that's set up over there on the desk for the reviews. It's plug and play. It's easy. It's really easy.
Yeah, emphasis on plug and play, literally.
Yeah. So what are you kind of really excited about in terms of 2024? What's this year got in stock for you?
I'm gonna answer that in a twofold way. I think, you know, from a macro perspective, I'm very excited to see a lot of content creators, and specifically content creators within the gaming sphere, step up and step out, if I could call it that, because I think a lot of people love gaming, and people love giving their opinions on games. No, I don't like this and I do like this, and you know, that's one thing, but just sharing your experience and why you love gaming, you know, whether it be your role-playing games, whether it be your puzzle games, your fighting games, shooters, sports games, whatever. Just content creators coming up to, first of all, get their voice heard in what they experience in gaming. Second of all, for the franchises and for the gaming titles to get their names out there, because a lot of developers and publishers, and specifically distributors, you can make a billboard and talk about and say, hey, this game's coming out, and put an advert and that game's coming out. But at the end of the day, it's the gamers that will say whether or not you need to play this, you need to play
word of mouth.
Word of mouth, exactly. And you know, I can tell you about Final Fantasy 16. You might know about Final Fantasy, you might go 16 titles. Oh my word, like, do you have to play like all 15? But watching someone talk about the game, you'll very quickly find out that no, it's a standalone title. It's just the 16th release. Hey, it's an action RPG. It's got 35 hours of cinematics in it. So you're not just playing a game, you're being immersed in a story. Now you're listening to me speaking and you're going, well, I think I want to dive into Final Fantasy 16. And then when you look at the art direction and the style and the gameplay, that might be for you and it might not be for you. But if it is for you, then you kind of feel like you're included in my circle. And then you feel compelled to have conversation with me because it's like, Canton just gets me. Like, I feel like he likes what I like. And I might not like what everyone likes, which is fine. But the cool thing is, in 2024, a lot of people are seeing that. And a lot of people are going to stand up and step out and go, hey, I also want to make content. So that's from a macro perspective, if I'm saying that correctly, a micro perspective. Personally, I think one thing I'm looking forward to is just making cool stuff. I think there's one thing that inspiration and specifically hope can do. And I think that's testament to having this conversation is you said yourself, you saw some of my stuff and you're like, oh, someone in context to outdoor photo having knowledge and experience in video, in photo, in lighting, in audio, when you experience a specifically packaged creative project that has lighting and video and photo and audio, and you listen and you look at all of that, you kind of go, hey, this guy kind of knows what he's doing. And like, yes, particularly that's my background, but trying to do more of that to inspire people to, hey, get better audio, shout out Rode. Hey, get camera, shout out Canon. But it's one of those where it's like, your phone is great. A lot of people go, oh, why would I get a camera if I can get an iPhone 15 Pro Max? And it's cool, do that. But you'll get to a point where you'll realize, hey, I actually need this gear if I want to go to that next level, which you will eventually get to. But it's great to know that there's content creators out there that are setting that standard and increasing it even more.
Yeah.
And I think that's specifically what I'm looking quite forward to, is creating cool things.
I think you touched on to something specifically, and it's what I always tell people: you grow into and out of your equipment.
Yeah.
So having the best gear isn't going to make you good.
Yeah.
You have to still understand your subject. If we're looking at photography or videography or whatever, you've got a specific project that you're working on. You've still got to understand your subject, and you have to understand the creative side of it, how to create something.
Absolutely.
So taking it back to the gaming, you still got to be able to play.
Yeah.
But having the equipment, making the streaming easier, having things like these Rode items, and there are so many other items that I can mention in the shop. I mean, we're full of it. We've had to change our focus quite a lot and focus on these kinds of things. And it's been fascinating to see what works on the one side and what doesn't work on the other side.
Yeah.
So, but there's something for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
And our goal there is to try and help people get to where they want to be.
Yeah, exactly.
As quick and easy as possible.
Exactly what you said. There's something for everyone, because, you might look at a streamer specifically, let's say someone that streams their gaming as a primary. They don't really dive into single player games, story games. They just want to play online, whether it be, your Fortnite, your Call of Duty, whatever it is, Valorant, and they just play that, and you specifically watch them, and now you're going, okay, I want to do that. And that's cool, but you need a specific type of sound. So you need to make sure you have, a dynamic microphone, so it's capturing your wall. You can use a condenser, but understanding the difference between dynamic and condenser, because you might walk into an outdoor photo and go, I want to stream, I need a mic. And then obviously someone will go, what are you looking to do? And then they'll go, I want to stream. And then you're like, okay, but that's not really helping me help you.
Somebody wants a piece of rope, but they can't tell me how long it needs to be.
Exactly. They just want a piece of rope.
They want a piece of rope, yeah.
Exactly. So I think, outdoor photo specifically is positioning themselves to be a toolbox where there's so many different tools.
Yes.
And you're really there for the person that's wanting to come do something specific. And then you're there to go, hey, we know you want this type of mic. And yes, it costs ABC and it can do X, Y, Z, and that's great. But actually, if you're looking to do this is going to have so much more longevity for you. And it's actually going to do more than just this mic. Because respectfully, you've just seen a video of someone using this mic. And that's cool, but this is actually going to do a whole lot more for you. And the same with the camera. So many people are like, I need, the top of the range Canon or Nikon.
Yep.
I want to get the Nikon Z9. And it's like, yo, dude, if you're getting the Nikon Z9 to just stream, it's like, again, we briefly touched on it earlier, but it's like driving a Ferrari only in a suburban area. It's like you've capped it like
speed bumps and potholes.
Speed bumps, potholes, and you really can only go about like 60 legally. I mean, depending on how adventurous you are. But yeah, I think it's important for people to get inspiration, but then find their rhythm. You got to find your rhythm. What works for a Mr. Beast or a PewDiePie or a whoever, Ninja also as well. Like he just loved playing Fortnite, and then he was like, oh, okay, cool, this gear, job done. Like I don't need anything really more. You can get a different mic, you can get a different camera, but like stick to the basics, the fundamentals. The arguables will follow, but the fundamentals of it needs to look good, it needs to sound good, and it needs to preferably be a great experience for the person watching it. So a good internet connection specifically to streaming, but everything else, freestyle. See what works for you, see what doesn't.
So to start off on that, what would you recommend to the viewers out there? Where do you start? What is the first thing you do? Audio, video, mixers. What is your recommendation if we're looking at tight budgets? Where do you start? My recommendation is usually audio.
Well, funny enough, I actually was going to say that because you can have a great video. It's crisp, it's clean, it's graded correctly, the lighting set up just the way it needs to be. So when you visually look at it, you go, that's a great video. And you will probably even say that for yourself, like, hey, I think this looks great. So you can have a great video, you can have bad audio, and the conclusion is you have a bad video. Because at the end of the day, audio is the experience that people get. I dare you to watch a horror movie on mute. You're just gonna sit there and go, yeah, it looks scary.
Then somebody pops out of a cupboard or,
and then you're gonna go,
or whatever.
Oh, that's cool. There's a reason why you get goosebumps when you listen to music. Maybe it's the bass drop, or it's the kick, or it's the melody, or it's the harmony, whatever it is or it isn't. But you'll get goosebumps specifically through music. What is music? It's audio. So you can have good video, bad audio, and you'll have a bad video. You can have bad video, good audio, and you'll have a good video. Because at the end of the day, the audio part of it is the primary experience that someone's getting. And if you are streaming or creating content, yes, it's of you, but it's not for you. It's actually for your audience. And whether that be creating content for something specific, maybe you're creating content, cooking, or it's gaming, or it's, hey, let me show you how to do this, a DIY thing or whatever. But at the end of the day, marking yourself up in a sense that it doesn't have to be the top of the range, most expensive gear, but something that works for your voice first and foremost. So understanding audio. Is it warm? Is it crisp? Is it too bright? Is it tinny? Understanding that is ultimately helping your audience to have a better experience. So that's where I would probably say start there, is make sure that you sound as if someone's standing in front of you, so that the person on the other side of the screen goes, oh yeah, I want to listen more. I want to listen more.
Yeah,
it looks like.
You want more of this.
I want more of this, because if you watch a beautiful video and it's tinny and it's echoey and it's scratchy, and you're going to scroll. But you kind of want to position yourself in such a way that your first maybe 2 to 3 seconds is a bit of a, oh, what's this? And then your audio from a quality perspective carries you throughout the whole thing. And then you can figure out video along the way. Oh, maybe I want a light. You don't need the top of the range. Oh, it's 20,000 Rand. RGB, I've got this
we
light.
have so many different RGB options and constant lighting options.
Sometimes just a simple panel, just to have as a key light, and then you can get creative. Oh, let me get my 45 backlight. Okay, let me get an RGB light up the background in red. Oh, let me change it to blue for the.
And then you grow. We spoke about that evolution, how you get into it, and the big thing obviously is getting the content out there.
Yeah.
And that's probably one of the biggest hurdles that I've had to get across, is just saying, hold on, what I've got here is enough.
Yeah.
Let's get the content out.
Exactly.
And then constantly try and tweak it as you go.
Yeah.
So that's adding that little extra light there, or the
absolutely
sort of lighting up your background. It doesn't have to start off like that.
No, yeah. I think the biggest obstacle, I'm not even going to say most, I'm going to say every single content creator, if I could even just say creator period, has ever had, the biggest obstacle is perfection. Yeah. Because you won't be happy with how it looks. You won't be happy with what's in the background. You won't be happy. And the good news about that is that's okay. Because, we touched on it, but a year from now, you're going to look back at that content. You're going to have different haircuts. You're going to have different facial features. You're going to have different clothing. You might have a different build. So by default, you're going to have a different look, period. So why does it then have to be any different for your content? you're going to have different lighting. You're going to have maybe a different setup. You maybe going to have different gear. Maybe you won't have a mic like this. Maybe you have a lapel. It doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, you will evolve. But if you're focusing so much on what other people are doing or something else you've seen that probably has a much bigger budget than you, like you, of course, you're going to not do it.
How insane is that? I don't know if you've seen that reel that's been doing the rounds with Mr. Beast and them asking him, like, what's the budget on his current videos?
Yeah, man.
It's ridiculous. For those who don't know, Mr. Beast, obviously one of the big names in the streaming industry.
Small person.
Yeah, small person. Just out of charity, dug, 100 boreholes in Africa somewhere.
Yeah.
And whatever. So the production on his videos are
super high.
$2.5 million for a YouTube video.
Yeah. And what's so funny is, to echo on what we're talking about now, if you had to speak to Mr. Beast, and he's created many videos about this, because a lot of people are like, we want to do what you do. How did you start? Where do you go?
He's very open about it.
Very open. And he's literally like, start making content. When you look at his first stuff, he had a webcam, no microphone. It's one of those webcams that have a built-in mic. Horrible audio, but he just wanted to get content out there. Fast forward however many years now, you look at his stuff, you compare it, and you go, wow, you've grown. So why does it need to be different for you? Why don't you start with the bare minimum, look back at it, absolutely cringe at your content, and go, man, like, I feel like deleting it. But don't delete it, because then 10 years from now, you're going to look back like a Mr. Beast and go, wow, I've actually grown so much. Like, I feel like I can be more of an asset to people that also want to start. And I think that's the beautiful thing that I touched on earlier about inspiring people and being like almost a hope catalyst for people wanting to make a difference, whether it be just content or charitable or whatever. But the point is, just start. Just start.
Just get your content
You're
out.
gonna hate your content, and that's all part of the process.
It's part of growth.
That's all it is, man.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah,
thank you for coming out for this drive. I hear there's rain falling on the roof.
It's a blessing from the sky.
A blessing from the sky. Thank you very much for joining us at Outdoor Photo. Come past the shop, come and have a chat with us. If you're interested in streaming or getting set up for streaming, be it for gaming, be it for just getting your own content out there, training videos, you name it, whatever you've got in mind, come and speak to us. We can get you going and get your content out there. Canton, thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you more during this year, and hopefully we can work some more stuff out.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Where can people get hold of you? Where can they see more of your content?
Just look in the right direction. No, you can catch me on any social media platform, just at Canton Parker. And yeah, hopefully drop me a DM, give me a digital high five. I'll give you one back. Awesome. And yeah, let's make some more magic for more people.
Thank you. Look forward to it.
Thanks so much,
Cheers.
man.